Philomythia Plays.
Welcome to the actual play.
Philomythia actual play.
Woo, Symbaroum.
One thing we're trying to do, just so the listeners know, is everybody who comes on, we try to get them to run some kind of actual play game. If they don't want to run, then we'll run one for them. But always do some kind of RPG. And we are D&D focused for the most part, but I think Ian and I are finding more we just love RPGs in general.
Yeah.
So today we're actually stepping away from D&D and we're going to play a game called Symbaroum, which we've talked about a little bit. And so I'm going to hand over the reins to Paul and let him kind of fill us in on the world. Symbaroum a little bit, and you know, give us a little flavor, and then lead us into this adventure.
Sure. So Symbaroum, or in Davokar is the forest.
The dark forest.
Mm-hmm. There's an ancient civilization here. We've kind of lost a lot of technology that we used to have. And so there's a lot of treasure hunters going into Davokar, facing the dangers. And there's light Davokar, which is kind of on the outskirts. And it can be dangerous, but not as dangerous as the deep forest when you get into it. Mm-hmm. In this scenario, we're starting out in the forest. Let's introduce your characters first off. Ian, why don't you go first? Introduce Ardry. Ardry
is a changeling, so he was taken and raised as a human.
Yeah, so in this setting there's a few different races, not very many compared to Dungeons and Dragons.
And I am a mystic witch, so I have been studying the ways of the witch, and I want to become the most powerful witch ever.
And is the coven you've been studying with, is this in Ambria? Is it in the edges of the forest?
It's in the edges of the forest in the Davokar.
All right, and then we have Eric playing Yipa.
So I am Yipa. Yipa Borg Heldner is my full name. I'm a goblin treasure hunter. And treasure hunters are basically, if you know D&D, they're like a subclass of rogue. His whole goal in life is to become like a great treasure hunter and make lots of money. He loves shiny things. And his kind of quote is, "The rich become rich by killing the rich and taking their riches for themselves." That pretty much sums up Yipa.
Nice. And
Thistlehold is this outpost right on the edge of the Davokar and the Ambrian Empire. But there's that little kind of shanty town that's like a couple miles outside, like south of Thistlehold. Mm-hmm. I am forgetting the name of. I think Ian wanted to say something, so I'll look this up while he's doing that.
I was just going to say my quote. That's all.
Let's hear it.
Don't you talk to me like that.
I love it.
So that's our characters right there.
And how do you guys know each other?
I think I was hired as kind of a Sherpa for this expedition.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And are you one of the folks that hired this whole deal, Ian?
Sure. I like that.
Cool. Let's say that you're working with this guy named Aurelio.
All right.
Aurelius. And he knows, he's been doing some research, and he's found out where this iconic treasure is. And that's about as far as he's gone with you. Iconic treasure. He hasn't told you what it is exactly, but he says that it'll make, if you guys are able to recover this, then you're set for at least the next few years, if not longer.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
I'm excited about that.
So Juno, Eric, is the guide that these guys have hired. And Juno, let's just ask you, have you worked with Juno before?
Yeah, I probably had some dealings with him before.
Okay.
Once or twice. And it's a good way for me to get a little extra coin.
Nice. As you're getting away from the populated areas, it's seeming to grow a little darker. It's mid-morning, and so there's not necessarily a storm coming, but the forest is just growing denser. And there's still foresty sounds around. But yeah, the leaves are crunching. You're following a fairly well-worn path as you're entering this part of the forest. But Juno's told you that we'll have to turn off of this path if we want to find this treasure trove. Aurelius is kind of being close to the chest with where exactly this is, but he's given Juno, he's like, take us to this area and then I'll be able to find it from there. And so that's what's happening. And I think you've got probably a couple of pack animals with you to help carry back whatever you find.
And Aurelius is the treasure hunter?
He is, yep, he's a fortune hunter. He's the one that's done the research, and he's a changeling.
Like me.
Like you. But he's a little bit older, and, he's got leather armor on, and he's kind of a jolly fellow. But he seems like he knows what he's talking about.
Okay. Can we get just like a flavor of what the forest looks and feels like?
Sure, yeah. So as I've mentioned, as you're getting away from the settlements, the trees are starting to get a little closer, and the light's being shut out a little bit overhead just by branches. You still hear the familiar sounds of animals scurrying around and birds chirping in the trees, but everything's just taking a little somber. And there's Aurelio is really laughing and joking with everybody at the start of this adventure, but even he seems a little more subdued in this part of the forest. Leaves are crunching underfoot, and it smells a little bit musty, like a mossy, wet forest smell. What questions do you guys have at this point?
So how many days have we been traveling?
Let's say you're a day into the journey. So you started early yesterday, and you camped out maybe at the Sun Temple or near there, and then you continued on this morning. You haven't had any issues yet, and Aurelio tried to do some jump scares like when you first got going.
Like played some pranks on us?
Just like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Okay.
Yeah, but just messing around. He's just a jolly fellow. And, had a good laugh. I don't know if you laughed with him.
I didn't find it funny.
I definitely did not find it funny.
And I'd say the only person that did find it funny was Juno.
Okay.
But just barely. But he's trying to earn himself some tips. So he's kind of following the lead of Aurelio as you go along.
Okay.
All right.
And are we sensing corruption or anything in the forest yet?
It is getting a little bit darker, but you don't sense corruption necessarily. It's just, you're just going.
Okay.
And so you travel on until you come to a point where there is a turnoff, and the path that you're looking at the turnoff, and let's say this is where we had that other mark, the road kind of leans to the west, and the turnoff is going to take you mostly north but slightly east maybe. And as you get there, Juno says, "This is the last chance. If any of you are having second thoughts, you may turn around and have a safe journey back to Thistlehold by yourself. I, of course, am happy to lead you along, but I just want to warn you that at this point, we're all in from this point forward. Anyone having second thoughts?"
We made it this far. Might as well keep going.
Might as well keep going.
Yes, well, great. And Aurelius is like, of course. There's nothing that could dissuade us from our quest. He said, all right, well, in we go then. And he leads the way into the forest. And as
I can't wait.
What?
Oh, I can't wait.
Excellent. As you step onto this path, immediately there's goosebumps on your arms.
Ooh.
And there's some fungus on some of the trees that you weren't seeing before, and along the ground. And some of them have like strange wispy things that are floating up. And leaves seem to be falling even though it's not really that time of year, from the trees around you. And the temperature's dropped just a few degrees as you walk into this part of the forest.
Did it just get colder?
It does feel colder. It does.
I should have brought my autumn cardigan, but I forgot.
But it's not even autumn right now.
I know.
Yippee! I have...
It's your pa.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. Yippah. Did you need something?
Nope.
Right.
I'm good.
All right. Onward, folks.
Hey, your pa.
Huh?
I don't know if I trust that guy.
I don't know if I trust any of you guys.
You could trust me.
Nope.
Okay,
Not goblin. You're not a goblin. Nope.
That sounds fair.
I hate to interrupt you two, but I've had plenty, this is Aurelio, I've had plenty of positive experiences with goblins. I think you guys get a bad rap.
It's true. But why are you listening to our conversation?
I'm sorry.
Seems
I don't
inappropriate.
trust you.
This seems inappropriate, sir.
Maybe you should speak quieter if you don't want people
I
listening.
was whispering. I don't know what else you want me to do.
I have very good hearing.
Listen here, Arolo. Where are you, Arolo? Where are you?
His name's Aurelius.
His name's Arolo.
Aurelius, actually.
Aurelius. How far would you say the journey is now that we're on your path? How far would you say till we get to this artifact?
Juno comes back. What? We can't make time if we keep stopping to talk. Let's talk while we walk.
I thought we were walking while talking.
Not fast enough.
All right. That's fair.
He says, it's about a day and a half from here to make it to where we need to go. Not far. It's not in the deep forest, which I'm very surprised, Aurelio, that something like this hasn't been found before.
As my mom Gob used to say, the more talking, the less walking.
Did your mother really say that?
Mom Gob, yep, every day.
All right.
Bless her heart.
Excellent.
All right, we keep walking. I'm following along.
You keep walking. I need both of you to roll
Eh.
a vigilant check.
That seems highly suspect.
Do we get a modifier of any kind?
You do. We're doing a -5
Ooh,
modifier
okay.
in this part of the forest.
Let's just break this down since if anybody's familiar with any RPGs, it's probably not going to be Symbaroum. It's probably going to be D&D. So when you're adding modifiers, you roll D20, and whatever your attribute is, you're trying to roll that number. So for instance, we're rolling Vigilant. My Vigilant is 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to roll an 11 or lower, and then if you give a -5 value to it, it means it's like 11 minus 5, so it becomes a 6. So it's way harder to roll a d20 and roll a 6 or lower.
Yeah, so I think that is backwards. So I think I was right with plus is better.
So were you meaning to make our rolls harder or easier?
Easier at this point.
Okay, so let's roll again.
Let's roll again. +5.
Okay.
+5.
Excellent.
Oh, success. Look at that. Oh, you still failed, though.
Yep. I still failed.
Artie failed.
What's your vigilance score, Artie?
It's 5.
5.
Oh,
Which
you
is
stupid son of a bitch.
which is so perfect for this.
Not observant.
So what I need you to do is just roll a d20, Ian, if you could.
I rolled a 1.
Okay. That's perfect. Let me ask you guys, how many times have you been in Davokar?
I've probably done a number of kind of treasure hunting expeditions, but I would say never in the dark Davokar, always in the light Davokar, where the places have been explored. It's not very dangerous for the most part. It's easier to get around.
Okay. What about you, Ian?
I've been just on the edge training with my witch person.
I need Ian to roll a quick against -5.
Failure.
So you are just walking along, and what order are you in this group of folks?
I don't know, standing kind of in the middle-ish towards the front, like maybe a
Perfect.
person in front of me a little.
So Eric's behind you, I think, because you guys are having just a chat.
If we're having a chat, I'm probably like shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
I would think.
Well, Eric, why don't you roll then as well? A quick at -5 too.
You know, I don't appreciate this -5 business. Oh, success! I rolled a 1, baby.
Nice. And so all of a sudden a light rope pops up out of the leaves in front of both of you. Eric, you jump over it.
My name is
spryly.
Yapa. Thank you very much.
Yapa jumps over it or circumnavigates this.
Mm-hmm.
Ian, how do you describe your fall here?
I'd say I'm looking over at your paw and talking, and I just go straight down.
Bam! And suddenly you guys are surrounded by a bunch of spring elves. And Yapa, you've probably seen them. Artie, you know what spring elves are for sure. This is not exactly what they look like. This just gives you a little flavor.
Ew.
Nice.
These guys are mischievous. They're basically elves / fairies. They're called fairies. They're called spring elves. Kind of synonymous. And they just burst into laughter that they got you to fall down and say, "Stop! Stop!" And they have kind of higher voices. "Stop! Stop! Stop!" And Juno and Aurelio flip around. They have these little spears. And the spring elf says, "Who leads this group? Who leads this group?"
I push Yeepa forward. I go, "It's him."
How big are these spring elves?
They are just a couple feet tall. They're not big.
Okay. I want to do something, but I'll wait till the appropriate time.
Okay. They say, Where are you headed? Where are you headed? Where are you headed?" They're just repeating each other.
We're headed inside to the Davokar. Who are you?
This is not a good idea. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. You should turn back. Back.
No. We're going in. There's witch treasure to be found.
Are you the leader changeling?
No, it's that guy over there. And I don't really specify. I just kind of point and it's that guy.
They come over to you, Yupa, and they say, "Nimble fellow, it surprises us that you are the leader of this group. Remember the rules, the pact of the Iron Pact. Remember it. The Iron Pact is a deal that was made with the elves of the forest that basically they are trying to keep corruption out. They'd love to see everybody out of their forest. But especially they don't want anyone taking any magical or corrupted artifacts out of the forest. And that's what the Iron Pact is in a nutshell.
So there's something I wanted to do when the trap was first sprung.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the trap springs up, I want to jump on to the closest spring elf, fucking grab him by the hair and pull my dagger out and be like, "No one move! Or the spring elf gives it!"
All right. And you're rolling cunning?
I'll use cunning, yeah, sure.
I think that works. Why don't you roll cunning -3 against their quick?
Success.
Nice. So yeah, you nab him, no problem. This freaks the other guys out, and they're like just buzzing around you guys. And they say, No, back.
Let my friend go. You get him out of that ropey rope.
You're not really trapped with a rope. It just knocked you to the ground. So
Yeah, I just tripped over it.
yeah.
So was it like a tripwire kind of rope?
Yeah, just like a trip line. They pulled it taut out of the leaves and
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
sent you guys tumbling.
So I'm like, take that magic rope out of my sight. Or the spring elf gets it.
Well, so you rolled to grab him. Let me have you roll one more time. Just an argument, like making your case here. Persuasive, I think, is what needs to be.
Oh, God. Here we go.
But it's +3 here against their
My
resolute.
persuasive is 5.
Uh-oh. All right. They don't take you seriously at all, so they come at you with their little daggers and
Is that initiative?
let us do initiative. Yeah.
I got 17.
So you're first.
Okay.
I have a long weapon.
Perfect.
Ooh, he gets to go first.
You're also prone, but you can use your movement to stand up, so I don't think that I don't know. Can you use your long weapon on the ground, I guess, is the question.
It does say in combat, like, you get to go first if you have a long weapon.
It does say that. Okay.
And I would have stood up. I would have stood up at this point too. Like after I hit the ground, I'd have been like, "Oh shit!" Stood up.
Fair enough. All right. So what are you gonna do with your long weapon?
Hold on, really quick. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interject for the listeners. The battle in Symbaroum, anytime we do combat, it's gonna be theater of the mind. So there's no tactical map or anything like that.
We're just saying shit.
We're just saying words and using our mind holes.
That's right.
Yeah, and Symbaroum has pretty loose like distances.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the exact terminology, but it's either someone's near, far, or very far kind of a thing.
Similar to the cipher system.
Mm-hmm. And so these are all pretty close to you. You can definitely... They're coming after Yapa at this point to try and snatch their little friendo away from his deadly grasp.
I'm gonna smack one of them.
Alrighty, so...
I use my strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Modifier.
Let's go ahead and -1.
-1?
Well, it's against... They're vigilant, and they're pretty vigilant.
That didn't work.
Alright, so you miss him just barely. You miss him as he flies by. Eric, you're up. What do you do?
You pause a risk taker. I'm sorry, gentlemen, for what's about to happen. I fucking have the spring elf and I go, slit, and just slice him right down the middle.
This is amazing.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Roll, I would say, what is your dagger? What would you use for that?
I have quick attributed to that, but I mean, I wasn't sure. I figured I would have you inform me on that.
No, I think quick would work.
Okay.
And let's roll against... You've got him in a grip, so let's roll against his strong, I think, because he's trying to get out, which is +5 for you, because he's not very strong.
Ooh, baby. See what happens, Larry?
Ah.
Attack hit. Damage is 6.
Ouch. His pain threshold is 3. And you've bloodied him, as they say in the Dungeons and Dragons. And when you match their pain threshold, what happens, Eric, when you do that?
I'm very unclear, but it basically, that's when you really start to take damage, as far as I remember.
Yeah, so if you hit their pain threshold, there's a few options that you have. You can either, I think, do an extra damage, or you can like force someone to the grip prone.
Oh, that's right. So it's kind of like doing a critical hit. Oh, I'm going to do extra damage.
Perfect.
Do I roll another d6?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go.
Okay. 3.
All right. He is at one hit point.
9 damage.
And he's really not liking his life here. When you do that, everybody just freezes for a second, and then they just come at you.
Nice. How many spring elves are there?
There's 5.
I thought there was 4.
There's 5 total. There's 4 that flew past you trying to save their friendo.
Gotcha.
Fuck those spring elves. Let's kill them all.
And actually, before they fly forward, Juno gets to go. Juno does extra damage with throwing weapons.
Nice.
And so...
does that mean you made a hit?
I think so. I don't really usually roll.
Oh, right, because so it's just kind of background.
I might be doing that wrong.
Well, you know what? You get to make the call because you're the GM.
So I'm going to say, let's just roll a d6 or a d20 straight up, and if it's above 10, he hits, he misses. Okay. So a knife flies by. The spring elves go ahead and slash at you. Eric, go ahead and roll a defense roll. Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I use my armor. Modifier. Now I'm going to argue for this. I have the spring elf in front of me as like a body shield.
Nice. I would say let's do +1.
So damage gated is 2.
Okay. So you take 1 little damage.
And my pain threshold is 4.
Okay. So you're fine.
So do I mark the 1 damage anywhere?
So the current under
the
toughness,
current is where I mark that.
Yeah, so just put it down to however much you have minus 1.
So max is 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll just put current 1 and I'll just count it up.
As long as you know what you're saying and we don't forget where you're at.
Yep.
That's fine. Let's see. So I'm going to just roll one thing here. Okay.
Uh-oh. He's rolling percentiles, bro.
It's just 1 percentile. Okay. So roll a defense one more time. Plus 1 again.
4.
Okay. So take... Oh, you negated 4.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't take any from that one.
So I'm going to say that I'm using the Spring Elf as my shield.
Nice.
So that's what I'm using to negate. I don't know if you want to interpret that anyways, but that is what I'm actively doing.
I would love to use that, actually. So
Okay.
They stab him, and he's gone.
He's fucking dead.
He's just like, ah!
I love the image of little fairies coming up to me and the goblin being like, they're like, Jimmy!
They're like, no, no, no. All right, let's have Artie go. Go, Artie.
Magic,
woo, woo.
magic,
Magic, magic, magic. Casting a magic spell. Ooh, yeah, let's do the arrow one again. I like that.
Can you select multiple targets with that one? Do you know?
Not at the level I'm at, no. I can only do one at a time right now.
Nice.
So yeah, I pull out my little bundle of arrows and I go, Queeba! And these 5 little arrows hover, made of blue light, and I command one to strike at one of the little creatures.
All right. Go ahead and roll.
Resolute.
Do you roll resolute for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't it automatically hit?
Oh yeah, it does automatically hit. That's right. Thank you.
All right.
You just have to roll. You just take 1 temporary corruption.
Yep.
Right.
It's a D6.
So roll your d6.
I'll roll it on the table because that's fine. 1. That's fucking bullshit.
Alrighty.
I'm not taking corruption. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not taking corruption for that.
So an arrow just zings one of the little guys.
And I go, fuck.
So let's see. Aurelius takes out his club and he just swings at him. I'm gonna just roll for him as I would a PC, I suppose, just because that seems like the easiest way to do it. Oh, here we go. These little guys are hard to hit. Well, 5, that's past their thing, and so he's trying to scare him off basically, and it seems to work. They flee your camp here since he passed their threshold, and they leave their one dead companion in your arms. Why don't you take an attack of opportunity to these fleeing spring elves if you want to?
Okay.
If they're leaving, I'm not going to do anything.
Okay. Eric, what about you?
I want to spit on the last one that leaves.
Okay. The wounded one that just got smashed with the club?
Yep.
Nice.
I want to go, filth!
All right. And he takes some spitting on himself. I won't even make you roll for that one. And Aurelius says, "Don't let them leave." It's too late. It's like, they're worth...
You can have this one.
Thank you. They're worth
And I hold the dead.
No, that's great. They're actually worth quite a bit. I don't know if you know this. But they're hunting parties that come out. Stroke of luck that we ran into these.
Does that mean I get a bonus?
Wait, if they're worth money, let's go get them.
Well, good luck catching them. Have you ever tried to catch a spring elf? Fairy?
I just did.
Well, you got lucky, I think. I've never been. They're too quick. I mean, you can go trampsing about, but you go trampsing off the trail, you run into worse things.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Excellent, excellent.
Well, if these are valuable, I feel like I would know that, and I want a cut.
You probably would know that, honestly.
If I know that, I probably would claim it.
Yeah, okay. He's like, oh, it's, of course, it's yours. I almost brought that other down. So close.
So I'm holding it and I'm growling ferally. And then I take my backpack off and I stuff the spring elf into my backpack.
The dead body?
Yep.
Juno looks at you and says, 10% of that. Yep. 10%.
Fine, 10%. And the feet are dangling out of the top of the backpack.
All right. Well, good job, guys. First encounter successfully passed.
What did we learn? Don't fuck with goblins. That's what we learned.
Yes. They will get right back at you.
They'll literally gut you like a fish.
Yeah, that was pretty ruthless, honestly.
I wasn't expecting that, but that's where the goblins taking me. So I'm like, all right,
Where
let's
ended up.
Let's lean into it.
Nice. That was a lot of fun. All right. So continuing the journey, Juno says, "Let's go. We've lost time. We cannot afford to lose more. Time is life essence out here." I don't remember the voice I was doing for him. "Time is lesser. Life essence out here. Come, let us continue. Keep your..."
Juno!
What?
Why does your voice sound different?
I have a little cold.
Ah.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. So you continue on. He's quickened his pace a bit, and you're following after. And this forest all of a sudden seems to lighten up just a little bit from what it was. The fungi disappear, and the trees kind of open up a little bit. Yipa and Artie, why don't you make me another vigilant test?
Modifier.
Modifier +3.
I failed. I rolled a 19.
Nice.
You failed too.
Nothing but failures.
Alrighty. That's interesting. At this point, you don't hear them until they're right on top of you. What's the marching order? Are you still in the back, Yipa?
At this point, yeah, because I feel like my job is basically to carry like some of the luggage or some of the bags, maybe empty bags if we're going to find treasure. And
yeah, and you have that one mule that you're probably leading.
Maybe I'm in charge of the mule or something like that. So yeah, I'll be in the back.
Nice.
I'll be in the middle.
Yep. So you guys are going along, and all of a sudden you hear just heavy footsteps right on top of you. Just like pounding down the path.
To be continued.
Like, share, subscribe.